Hey everybody, welcome to Pink Shade Prime. It's Mary Payne here. I got Keisha. You guys, it's a
Hi.
brand new show, Keisha.
Yeah. And this was a brand new show to me.
I know. That's exciting for
Yeah.
you, I think.
I know you like it when we record a show, and I'm totally new to it. Like
I
Love
do.
is Blind. That was my first time being introduced to that show. So yes, I'm excited.
Now we're old school at Love is Blind.
Oh yeah. Oh
Now we know
yeah.
everything. Now we know everything.
Everything.
Okay, Keisha. So you have not watched all 15 seasons of Vanderpump Rules. You just kind of you've dipped in and out. You know the characters, don't know the game.
I have never watched a single episode of Vanderpump Rules, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those shows that it's always in the news, and I follow pop culture that I'm like, okay, I know enough about what's going on,
Yes. Yeah.
big scandals and things like that. But when watching this, I was like, okay, who was on Vanderpump Rules? Like, who worked there? Of course, Jax. I know
Mm-hmm.
that name.
Yeah.
And Kristen. I
Yeah.
figured she had worked there. I wasn't sure about Britney.
Yeah, she worked
Um,
there briefly, yeah.
okay, big titty Britney. That's what I'm gonna call her.
Yeah, by the way, that's on purpose. She got those boobs on purpose, yeah. Mhm.
No way.
You If you Google what Brittany looked like when Jax first met her, he met
Uh-huh.
her, like, at a pool party in Vegas or something,
Okay.
and they started dating, and like he always does, every time he got a girlfriend, he'd immediately, like, move them into his place and then get them to work at
Okay.
s2e1. And, this one just happened to stick, but yeah, she was, had a cute little tiny body with regular tiny boobs, and
Okay.
he paid for that giant boob job, and he wanted them
They
that
are
big.
huge.
I
Like
know,
they literally are like two watermelons up there. I
I know.
assumed they were natural.
No, she did that on
Okay.
purpose. Mhm.
That's a backache waiting to come right
Yeah.
there.
I keep
So,
thinking now that she's rid of him that maybe she'll put him down to, like, whatever size she originally wanted, because they had, like, an argument on Vanderpump Rules about the boobs, because he was like, "I'm paying for 'em, I should get them as big as I want." She's like, "I just don't want boobs that big." But, like, he pushed it.
no.
Yeah.
Look, I'm like, I'm gonna take your money,
Mhm.
but when I get in there, I'm gonna tell the plastic
Yeah.
surgeon what size I want, and that's the end of it because that's gonna start to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
agree with all that. So
okay.
so what we have here is Jax and Kristen had kind of been pitching this spinoff for years after they both were, like, canceled,
Yes.
and had to go off the show.
Now, why was okay? So Krista was canceled because there was like a racist comment made, correct?
So Kristen and Stassi, and I'm a big Stassi apologist. So Kristen and
Okay.
Stassi on Stassi's podcast. Stassi's podcast was one of the first podcasts I ever listened to. She was
Okay.
early on the podcast game. So she had this podcast, and she and Kristen told a story on the podcast about them terribly bullying and pretty much racially profiling this woman, Faith.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
Faith was a cast member for, like, one season. She was just sort of like a friend of. She started off with
Okay.
Lala as a friend of cast member. Faith and
Okay.
Lala kinda came on together. Faith is Black, and
Okay.
they both worked at
What?
Faith is Black. They both worked at SUR. And
Okay.
so, um, basically, if I'm remembering it correctly, and this may not be exactly because 'cause it's been a long time, but Kristen and Stassi told the story on Stassi I was listening, told the story on the podcast about how they, like, called the police to say that they thought this, like, scammer was Faith, and that the police should look into Faith for being this,
Oh,
like, scammer, um,
okay.
that had been, like, seen on video, and they were like, "Faith has got that same jacket, I'm sure it's her." Now, meanwhile, Faith was like a home health nurse or whatever.
Oh,
The
wow.
the
Okay.
the reason they didn't like Faith was because Faith slept with Jax, and Jax was
Okay.
with Brittany. And so they
Okay.
decided they would, like, try to ruin this girl's life, even though, of course, it's actually Jack's fault because he was the one in the relationship.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay.
But Faith was smart enough to take, like, audio of Jax talking
Ooh.
shit about Brittany, who was his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Vanderpump, um, Ariana or James or somebody like had the audio and played it for Britney. We never heard it as viewers because it's like a, two-party consent state, and Jax obviously didn't consent to
Okay.
being, but it was basically like saying, Britney was gross. He was trying to get rid of her. They never had sex. Like he didn't want to be with her anymore, like called her fat, like all this stuff.
Oh, geez.
But
That's
the
not
kicker
nice.
of this story of Jax hooking up with Faith is the kicker to the story is that there was like a elderly woman in the bed, like asleep in the same room where like Jax and Faith were banging. That was the woman that Faith was supposed to be
Ew.
watching this old lady as her job.
Super gross. Well, hopefully
Yes.
it wasn't in a room like what we saw on Lalu last week,
Yeah.
a whole nursing home room.
Yeah, I think it was just like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I cannot. Disgusting.
So that's the story of why Kristen and Stassi got canceled. Jax
Okay.
was still on the show, but there
Mhm.
was a party that was like at like an opening party or something. It was at Tom Tom, one of the restaurants that Vanderpump owns with
Mhm.
the two Toms. And Lisa Vanderpump was at that party, and Lisa Vanderpump has started this whole empire, right? She owned the
Right.
restaurants that spurred the shows,
Right.
and Jax is, always coked out of his gourd, just always like, like this. And he gets in Lisa Vanderpump's face and was like, something. I mean, they came on my show, blah, blah, blah. And Lisa Vanderpump
Oh
goes,
boy.
excuse me, it is not your show.
Okay.
Actually, it is my show. It is called Vanderpump Rules.
Vanderpump Rules. Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah,
That's
like I know, yeah, I know, Lisa, I know, but we never saw him again. He was off after that.
that was it.
He was kicked off the show.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea that was the reason that he got canceled.
Yeah, I mean, his erratic, coked out behavior was a
Didn't
lot to
help.
do with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So he and Brittany got married at this air quote castle by the highway in Kentucky, and they got
Not
married.
Castle by the Highway.
It was like one of these things. Like my whole life, I would drive by and see this castle and say, "One day I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna be a princess in that castle." And it's some sort of like
Gotcha.
wedding venue in Kentucky, but they're like it's
Okay.
literally like a castle that somebody in Kentucky made to be a wedding venue.
Got it.
But that's where
Okay.
they got married. And like
Okay.
he didn't have his own mother at the wedding because he was mad at her because his dad was really sick and dying, and the dad's dying wish was like, "Don't tell the kids." So the mom didn't tell the kids,
Mm.
and they didn't get to see him, or they saw him right before he died, but they didn't know that he was very sick.
He was
So
dying.
he quit talking to his mother and didn't invite his mother to his wedding.
Okay, because I'm watching season 1, and you know me, I'm a bad judge of character. We all
Okay.
know this.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'm like, okay, do I like Jax? Do I not like him? I'm like,
You don't like him. You don't.
I'm like, there's something about him, but then I see him being a total ass. What I'm like thinking, some good intensive therapy. There may be a good guy in there somewhere.
We've
It
been
may
trying
be
for
at the
10
crack
years.
of his ass, and you haven't
Yeah.
seen it. Okay, all right.
10 years. 10 years.
Okay.
Various relationships and girlfriends, and now with Brittany, his wife, have all tried over all these years. But, he is admitted to a 20-year cocaine and alcohol problem.
I mean,
that'll
that'll make you suck as a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think he sucked as a person before that. He's just a liar. He literally lies about everything. He will lie about nothing, small things, big things. He lies about
He's just one of those
everything.
people.
Everything. Nobody thought she should marry him. Nobody thought she should stay together with him. And then she did, and everything everybody predicted has come true.
Right. Okay.
So as we go, I will give you, background as it is fit, because some of these people in the Valley, we'd never seen before. And it's really great because
like who?
Everybody but Kristen and Jax.
Oh,
and Britney.
You'd never seen these other people before.
Never. We had never seen them as a friend in the background. Like we'd seen Zach before, because Zach actually is Britney's friend that I believe is from Kentucky and like moved to LA when she moved to LA as like her bestie. I believe Zach is like from Kentucky with Britney.
Okay.
And he, of course, they've all been friends for so long. He's become, very close with Kristen and everybody else.
Got it.
But no, I mean, Michelle, Jesse, all these other people, Janet, Jason, all these people we've never seen. Now, Janet has been in the zeitgeist for a long time because she's been really good friends with all of them for a long time. When we've heard her name or
Okay.
she's been at a party here or there. But all of these people, except for Kristen, Jax, and Britney, are brand new to this show. We had never seen it. So a lot of people, when it started, were like, oh, this show's going to be terrible. Like, who are these people? And I was like, I think it's going to be great. And I was right. It's great. It's a great show.
Yeah. It took me the first 2 episodes. You know me, I'm always kind of stupid dumb the first 2 episodes. I'm like, who's that?
Well, when they're brand new, you got to.
Yeah. And third episode, I'm like, okay, this person's married to this person. This is what's going on with their relationship. Blah, 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 blah. Got it.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that you, sorry, my CarPlay just turned on. Can you please explain to me why? I guess because
your CarPlay.
CarPlay, I just turned on. Explain to me why. My phone is literally on do not disturb and airplane mode. Why? How would that happen? Dave just got in his car. Like, I guess the Bluetooth is still on. I'll turn that off. Okay. Probably Dave just got in his car and heard my like Watch What Crappens episode that was playing.
Oh.
Okay. The Valley, season 2, episode 1, separation anxiety.
Okay. Got it.
So everybody's separated. So we get a lot of opening shots of them like doing their talking heads of like preview of what's to come, you know, with all this going on. Now we know in real time, of course, Britney and Jax are separated. We know now pretty recently, he admitted to this cocaine and problem and stuff, probably to like boost up ratings for this season.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Because I'm not going to admit to a drug problem unless I'm going to get paid to do so.
Especially when you're trying to have joint custody of your child.
Yes, that's.
And then she also just did a big article with people talking about her son having autism.
I saw that.
Yes. Now we knew last season that he was getting speech therapy and stuff. And
yes,
we could, you could tell, especially as a parent, that you could tell like, okay, something's going on with this kid and they're not saying it. And that's fine because they don't have to. And in addition to having a coked out husband who calls you fat and lazy alcoholic. Now I have heard, and this is just complete rumor, but I have heard from other people that yes, Britney also does have a drinking problem. But
I think that was kind of clear. And here's the thing: he called her fat and lazy. You can't call me fat and lazy. Pick one struggle and call me that. Doing both is way too much. Like, can I be fat this day and ugly the next day? I can't be fat and ugly the same day. Like, come on, give me something. Like, But it was clear to me because my stepson is autistic, and I kind of recognize some of the things a little bit. I'm like, there's something going on. I'm like, we're probably going to hear about a diagnosis, and here we go. Right before the new season starts, there's a diagnosis. There's a big birthday party where I guess they were astronauts. I saw that. It was cute. So
he's a really, really cute kid. He looks a lot like her. But I mean, you saw at the end of last season, she was like really pressuring him to like have another baby. And I was like, let me tell you what's not going to fix this marriage is a baby. Okay, so then we see all these opening shots of them talking about whatever happened. So I think that's when finally Jax goes to rehab, which I think he tried twice. I don't know if it's stuck or not, but allegedly he says he has. So 7 days earlier, we're at Jesse's house. Okay, now this is the same house he lived in with Michelle. And he says, now it's so great to have my own space. I can like line my clothes up alphabetically and by color in the closet. And, when Michelle moved out, it was like a weight off my shoulders. And co-parenting is not going well. Isabella acts like me and looks like me, which is probably not great for Michelle.
Yeah, now, Isabella's that girl though. Like,
oh yeah. She knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing. She knows how to respond. She responds sarcastically. Like, she is just a tiny adult.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, and you're probably going to get mad at me for this, I like Jesse way more than I like Michelle.
Right. And did you feel that way about him last season 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't stomach her at all.
I think she's been through a lot with him, and that'll make you be real bitchy.
It's just something about her personality. I
get it. I get it.
I don't know.
She's boring.
Granted, living with him probably is horrible, but I would just cuss his ass out every day. We'd be
Yeah.
good. We'd be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. So 5 hours later, we see Isabella in the car and she's going, I have eyeshadow on. And mom's like, oh, okay, great. Great. Just go to school with eyeshadow on. It's amazing.
All right.
So obviously he's going to be the dad that lets Isabella do whatever the fuck she
Do
wants.
whatever.
And then
Mhm.
Michelle's got to deal with that when she comes to her house, you know?
I mean, that's the chance you take when you get a divorce because
Yes, that's right.
there's always that parent that they don't live with all the time is always going to be the fun parent. It just happens. That's just the way, and especially a girl, of course, she's going to have a Ferrari by the time she's 10.
That's right. So now we're at Janet and Jason's house. They have had their baby. She was, using her pregnancy for
For
everything last year.
I'm like, you're pregnant, not handicapped. Like, stop it. Stop this, girl. Like,
how funny was it last season when Jason said, yeah, so Janet, quit her job here at the end of the pregnancy to get ready for the baby. And, but she took up a new full-time hobby, which is shit talking and gossiping.
Yeah, because she's like the number one. She's the sneaky one.
Yeah.
She has everyone else doing her dirty work. And I got to tell you, their little baby Cameron, Jason's genes did not put up a fight at all.
Now,
we'll get the next one. We'll get the next one.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Matt Maher of Reality Gaze knows him because Jason was a lawyer in the firm where Matt used to work.
He's hot.
He's very hot. Very hot.
Yes.
You can't tell me he does anything wrong. You can't tell me he cheats. You can't tell me. You can't tell me anything bad about Jason. I love him.
I mean, we haven't seen anything bad so far, but we still got a whole season
to go. So the baby's crawling. He's got one of those little baby helmets on. And she's talking about how, she thought all these, barf and poop and snot and all this would gross her out, but somehow it doesn't when it's your own baby. They talk about, he's got the helmet on because of the cone head and stuff, and he's crawling around. It's cute. Now we go to Kristen and Luke's, and Kristen's in the kitchen, and he's basically telling her, like, hey, if you want to get pregnant and try to have a baby, like, maybe you shouldn't be, like, drinking and smoking. And she's like, works for our parents. I'm sure it's fine.
I mean, technically, she is correct.
Yeah.
She really, really is. But I got to tell you, and you're not going to get this reference because you have always and will continue to refuse to watch Mama June. But for anyone else who has followed Honey Boo Boo, Mama June, Luke is Sugar Bear, who is Alana / aka Honey Boo Boo's dad. Luke looks exactly like what Sugar Bear would have looked like if he were not a meth head and married to June. Okay. You cannot tell me these two people are not related. I mean, I'm like, that is what Sugar Bear could have looked like instead of what he, like, no teeth, that just, he was married to June Shannon and he slept with June. So he's been through some things. But yeah, they look just like, I'm going to have to see a picture of Sugar Bear.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't picture him. I mean, I know that name obviously, but I can't picture him.
Okay.
So the background on Luke is everybody says looks like a doomsday prepper, but he's actually from like a super, super like wealthy family. He's actually super wealthy. Yeah.
Okay.
How did you feel about first season when this is like all coming back to me because I didn't rewatch the first season. She said that she met him at her friend's wedding and like banged him behind a porta potty. That's just Kristen. That's how she rolls.
I mean, I know sometimes we get an itch and you got to scratch it, but we try not to scratch it in an alley. You know what I mean? Behind a porta potty?
In a bridesmaid's dress.
So to me, if you can walk the distance to a porta potty, you could probably walk the distance to your car if you go just a little bit further, and you could have done it there.
How about go in the porta potty? They went like behind the porta potties.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
you can still smell and just it's you're fucking by a shitter. Okay. Any way you put it, that's what you're doing.
Okay, Jasmine and Melissa. Now, we never really saw Melissa last season. We knew she had this long-term girlfriend, but we never really saw her, and we don't see her much. We just see her a little. So I don't know if Melissa's like, I will film, but as little as possible,
I mean, I don't blame her,
Yeah.
especially if she's got like this techie career and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
probably don't want to be associated that much
Yeah.
with the show. Even though her girlfriend stole Michelle Williams' whole face from Destiny's Child, every time they show Jasmine, like, I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up.
That is funny. That
They
is
could be
true.
sisters.
That is true. So they say they've been together 4 years. They joke about like,
Mm-hmm.
"Are you gonna propose to me? Are you gonna propose to me?" Okay. So
Okay.
I guess we're setting that up to happen probably.
Okay.
Nia and Danny's condo. Now, at the end of last season, they were looking for a place because they have 3 under 3, and we know that in current time, she is pregnant with number 4.
That is insane. I saw a current picture, and it was like the whole cast, and I saw her do, every woman now has got to put their stomach
Yeah.
on the hand on the
Yeah.
bed. I do not get that shit. I'm like, okay, we get it. And I'm like, there's no way she's pregnant again.
She is. She's pregnant again.
So that means we're going to see even more Little House on the Prairie dresses.
Yeah.
That's all she wears.
Yeah.
Like,
and they already shouldn't have 3 children in a 2-bedroom apartment.
A small condo.
Yeah. They already are. Yeah. We better see them move. We better see them move.
Yes.
So now we go to Jax and Britney's house. Now, of course, Jax being Jax refused to move out of the family home and made Britney and Cruz move to a rental. So take your child who already has issues out of his home and make him move to a rental.
Yeah, that was not a good move right there. That was pretty douchey, I must say.
Pretty bad. So, so Jesse goes over to visit Jax, and Britney and Jax have now been separated for 9 months, and she is in a rental, close by. And he says, the 2 of us were thinking of trying again, but I went on her iPad. She was still texting with Julian. Like he's saying this to Jesse, like, put yourself in my shoes, man. I went full, like, unhinged, enraged, and I was mad. And thank God Cruz didn't see anything. He was in the other room. And Jesse says, you need to think about how your son sees you as a father and a man, and how he will treat women in the future. And he's like, yeah.
He could care less.
No, he didn't give a shit. He's like, I don't plan on seeing that kid anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So, and the talking head Jack says, yeah, it's really bad because, like, Julian and I, we were friends, and I don't have an answer for how I acted. I don't. I saw red. It was like an out-of-body experience. Like, tell me any guy that would handle it differently. Now, this is what Jax always does. It is, he's always trying to work on himself. He's always like, I can do better. He's been saying that for 15 years. I'm a work in progress. But whenever he says anything like, that was really bad, I apologize for that, but anybody else would do the same thing. Or, who could blame me? He never just takes accountability or apologize. He always has to say, anybody else would do the same. I was triggered by this person. It's their fault. Like, he can't
take full accountability.
There's not anybody can find me one example of all the years of Vanderpump Rules or this show where he ever just said, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, without in the same episode also explaining why really it's somebody else's fault.
Now, I heard Britney at some point say that they agreed that they could see other people.
Yes. Jesse said that here too. You guys had an agreement. So what was the shock? Separated.
Yeah, here, granted, no one wants to actually see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get that.
But if you go searching, you might find something.
And that's why people don't go looking for shit. I'm like, okay, you're looking for shit. You're going to find something you wish you hadn't seen that you probably would have been okay with never knowing about. This is a prime example of that.
Right. So Jesse is talking about himself with his separation from Michelle. And he says, I went through a small phase of just hookups and stuff. And he goes, but really, at the end of the day, I'm a relationship guy. And now I'm in a great relationship with a wonderful woman. She's super strong. She holds me accountable. She holds a mirror up to me, which Michelle never did. I was like, so you're faulting Michelle for not holding your feet to the fire. Just as you just said to Jax, be a man, hold your own feet to the fire. You don't need a woman to do it for you,
Yeah. It's always easier to call out shit that you do when someone else does it because you don't realize you're doing the same shit.
Right.
I think that's the case here with Jesse.
So now we go to Britney's rental, and Michelle is there. And so she's telling Michelle about this iPad incident. And she says she sent the guy, Julian, a sexy video She and Jax were separated. They were fine dating other people. Jax was literally parading women around. And I mean, we saw him with all sorts of different women, all
Okay, he
sorts.
doesn't really care.
No.
Okay.
And she says, but his rages are getting so much worse. And Michelle says, well, if he's raging like that, it takes 1 second for it to go wrong.
That's true.
And in the talking head, Britney says, we were still co-parenting, doing our podcast because it's super successful. So we just kept that up and everything. And then all hell broke loose. He got all mad at me about that sexy video, and he flipped the coffee table, and it hit my leg, hit my knee, and immediately turned black and blue. And he was losing his mind that I was cheating on him. But we had an agreement. We were separated, and he had been publicly parading around with girls. Which is true.
Yeah, you know how it always works for a guy. It's like, I can do it. It's not bad for me to go and fuck 1,000 women, but if you fuck one guy, it's just like, oh my god,
now you're a whore.
Exploded.
Yeah, you're a whore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So, what they're sort of alluding to in these conversations is Jack was physically violent with Britney,
right?
And she's trying to downplay it. He flipped a coffee table and hit my leg, and that is completely bad, but I think it was way worse, and they're trying to just skate past this, probably because if he's being physically violent to Britney, then they don't have a show because they're you know what I mean?
Oh, most definitely. And here's my thing: you flip a table and hit me, okay, but I'm most definitely gonna get that same table and flip it and hit you as well. We're gonna be even in this situation, but that's scary, especially with the child with special needs.
Right.
They need stability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just chaos right there.
So I guess after that is when she was like, I'm going into a rental.
I gotta go.
And he's just a complete piece of shit for not saying, well, actually, the two of you should stay in the house and I should go. Because he just doesn't take, because it's Britney's fault because she sent a sexy video to somebody when they're separated and they had agreed it was okay. So it's Britney's fault that he flipped the table. Any other guy would have done the same. See?
Well, no, any other guy would have said it's easier for me to pack up and go and stay in an apartment or something like that. And you and
with
the
a friend,
baby
anything.
stay here.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, he wouldn't be able to take his leaf blower with him if he were living in an apartment. How would he use his leaf blower every day, Mary Payne? He needs to do that. That's a form of therapy for him.
So Britney says, when Jax is partying, it's way worse. Now, this is he's a cokehead,
Okay.
And Michelle goes, yeah, I get it. She goes, look, Jesse's also going through a midlife crisis. Like, he's 44. He should be calming down. Well, then Michelle doesn't understand what a midlife crisis is because that's what it means.
Yeah. And, they kept really picking at that 45. So I'm like, okay, slow your roll, bitches. I'm 45. Y'all are making it seem like 75. And here's the thing for Jax. I have a theory about drugs, Mary Payne.
Oh, okay.
There's certain drugs that you can do when you're young.
Okay.
But once you hit 39, 40, you can no longer, our hearts, our brains can no longer function properly. You cannot do cocaine and meth when you're in your 40s.
Let's just disclaim.
You shouldn't do them at all.
You shouldn't do it anyway.
But the older that you get, the chances of you having a heart attack and a stroke from the drug usage goes way, 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 way up. You just smoke weed when you're in your 40s. That's it.
And Jax has had 2, maybe 3 full nose jobs.
And is it because of this? I'm thinking it's because of the coke.
Yeah, he's always like, oh, I've got allergies. And we're like, okay. I mean, everybody's been like, allergies.
Yeah.
Allergies. For years, people have been like, okay, nobody has to get that many nose jobs unless you're Stevie Nicks.
Because of allergies. Right?
You know what I mean? Because you've burned so many holes through your nose. Yeah.
Oh, poor Jack. He's going to have not a nose. He's going to be going around looking like Voldemort because he's going to look like snorted away everything. Yeah.
So Michelle is telling Britney about her new man, Aaron. He's amazing. He doesn't talk down to me. Brittany's like, what's that like? And she says, he just brightens my day. He's genuine. And so great. And I saw Jesse, I believe after the Valley was over on Watch What Happens Live saying like he was in such a great place with his girlfriend. He knew Michelle was in a great place and it seemed to be okay, but you're starting out here, maybe not so much. Okay. She tells Britney, last year I was so sad, like all the time. And Britney goes, I saw that. I get it. And we, see some clips from that. All right. Janet goes to a plant store to meet with Britney. Now, the guy working at the plant store was really trying to get some screen time. really, he was really in there trying
As
to,
he should.
yeah,
As he
listen,
should. As
right.
he should.
And they look at some plants, and the guy goes, well, the thing, because they're making like these little terrariums, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, the thing about that is you can't pick that one. It's going to be 6 feet tall. And they joke about, she goes, I could use somebody over 6 feet tall in my life. Just
Wait,
a good,
is Jax not tall?
he's like 5'9".
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Brittany goes, yeah, somebody who doesn't have to wear heels in their shoes.
Ooh.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Because he was always
Jax
wearing
and
those.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, exactly. So they're making the terrarium, and her phone rings. She's like, it's Jax. I'm not going to get it. And Janet says in her talking head, she goes, I just want Brittany to have fun. She's
Mm-hmm.
always down to have fun. She's the girl that's like, do you want to order Taco Bell 3 a.m? Yes. Brittany is the girl that always was the most fun. And that is true throughout all the seasons of Vanderpump when she came around. Nobody has ever said one word about Brittany ever.
Really?
Never. Everybody is like, well, obviously he doesn't deserve her, but they're like, believe me, when they get divorced, everybody's keeping Brittany and getting rid of Jax, even though they've known Jax for 20 years. They're like,
That's
everybody
funny.
has always loved her the most.
Okay.
He's like, she just needs some happiness in her life. The only problem ever that has ever been with Brittany is
Mm-hmm.
because Stassi and Bo, her husband, got
Mm-hmm.
married like during COVID in the backyard. She was pregnant and they couldn't have this wedding in Italy. So when they did their like redo wedding in Italy, after I think they had the second kid by then, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they had the second kid right after, but it was an Italian wedding. It was, invite only. They had an exact number of people, right? Because it's in
Mm-hmm.
Italy.
Right.
And very literally the day that Jax and Britney were supposed to fly to Italy to go to the wedding because they were invited,
Mm-hmm.
they canceled and didn't come. And then Stassi and Bo were like, those are 2 other people we could have invited.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, balloons, guys, if you're watching the video. Those 2 other people they could have invited. And that was 2 spots they took from somebody else. And and they knew that Jax was like planning to not come because it was in like a group text that he didn't realize Bo was in, and was like, oh, we're totally not going to that. And
Oh,
and
okay.
and then when Brittany like texted Stassi, and they were very good friends, texted her and was like, we can't come there. First it was they couldn't get a babysitter. Her mom couldn't
Mm-hmm.
come to babysit the kid. And then it was like they didn't get Cruz's passport in time. They had 2 different
Okay.
excuses. But
Right.
Jax had already said in the group chat, oh, we're not doing that. And
Yeah.
so that is the only problem anybody has ever had with Brittany. And 100% it's Jax's fault. 100%.
So it wasn't really even her. It
But
was by
Brittany
proxy.
but Brittany like took the fall for it, because she's like, protect my man, my man, my man.
Yeah.
And
We're
so
not doing that in 2025.
I hope that Brittany and Stassi can come back to being friends. Like, because I mean, Stassi dated Jax for like 4 years, so she knows what he's like,
Who has he not dated?
Let's see. Well, he's fucked Kristen.
Right.
Let's see. Who has he not dated? Or who has he not banged? Let me tell you something. Season 1 to Vanderpump Rules Jax, hot.
He what? Oh,
Hot.
was he? Okay. Okay.
I have no estrogen in my body. I was hot for him.
Okay.
That'll tell you something.
Okay.
Season 1 Jax, hot.
Okay.
Okay. So Janet asks Brittany, does Jax know that he needs help? Like, is he on board to get help? And she goes, yeah, sometimes he'll say that he does. And then other times he'll say, I'm Jax Taylor and I can do what I want. Yep. That's what he says. Swear to God. And she said, now he's spiraling because I'm having this white party. So he's going to have a rival party, which was funny because like nobody cares.
That is so immature. Like,
it's so Housewives.
Yeah, but he's not a housewife, nor is he a woman. Like, that's such a bitchy thing to do.
He's so petty and bitchy. And yeah. So in the talking head, Brittany's like, I'm not going to focus my whole summer on him. I am going to find myself again. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have this white party. Plus we're filming. And so that'll be good for filming.
Yeah.
All right. Zach and Nia meet up. Okay.
Right.
Nia gets a hold the alcohol drink because that's just how she is. And Zach gets extra
she never
alcohol.
drinks.
She does, but like she'll have like 1 or 2 drinks. I mean, but really not more than that. So just making sure that I don't need to move something because Anna just opened the door for the dogs to come in. So if I have to jump up, that means because Violet's probably going to try to grab that pencil if I had to guess. Hold on 1 second. Anna, will you come grab this pencil off this table so if Violet jumps up there? she won't get it. Okay.
She's so
That
bad.
is so. Hey, Anna.
My shirt.
Okay.
Oh, my shirt.
Oh, your shirt is so cute. Hey, show that shirt on the camera. Okay. All right. Let's see.
What's it say?
Can you see the dogs on it?
That's so cute.
Those are not our dogs. That was just a shirt I found in Oxford, Mississippi at a store called Shades.
Oh.
And those two dogs were on the back of it.
Now look at that. Look
Now,
at God.
So I just bought 3 of them.
That's so cute.
Okay, bye. Thank you. What?
Say you love me.
I love you. Goodbye. Not like recording a show or anything. Okay, so all right, so Zach and Nia meet up. No, I think she doesn't drink very much. As you saw last season, like she would have 1 or 2 drinks.
And
She's
she was
just
also breastfeeding.
yes, yeah, and then
Yeah.
leaking through, and bless her heart.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on Zach's hair? Because a lot of people think it's not real hair. I think that's his real hair. It's just a
I
shit
think
ton
that's
of
his
hair.
real hair, especially if he's from Kentucky. That's just, that's just, they have big hair. Like,
I think he just has a lot of hair and doesn't know how to.
I think he does too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's fake at all.
Last season, he said that his hair was so big because they said, oh, we're going to start filming in like 2 weeks. And then they're like, actually, no, we're going to start filming like on Friday. And he didn't have time to get a haircut. And then he wasn't allowed to change it once they started filming,
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. He's like, no, now I'd have to stay like Lego hair because he does have Lego hair.
Yeah, he does.
All right. So they talk about the situation with Jax and when did you last see Britney? And Nia's like, yeah, the whole situation with that is really scary. And Zach says, he's been friends with Britney since they were young. And he says, I've seen Jack's behavior get progressively worse and worse and worse. So they're all dancing around this cocaine problem and not saying it.
Yeah.
They're alluding to it.
For the camera?
I don't know if they have made a pact. Like if we're not going to say what it is. We're not going to say cocaine. They're just saying he's partying, he's raging, he's behavior, but they're not saying he's coked out.
I mean, partying and raging, either he's coked out or he's on steroids. Well, one or the other. Like, so we're going to go with coke.
He used to do that back in the day with Stassi. He was always on these like steroid
protein
really? Shakes and stuff. And she's always like, you gotta stop with that. Like it's making you nuts. Yeah.
I've never even heard of a steroid protein.
Well,
drink.
he was just always using those like pump you up powders and stuff. And a lot of people are like, I think he's also just doing steroids because he was so like cut and ripped. And, yeah.
This guy is a walking heart attack.
Yes.
Or he's going to have erectile dysfunction from all this shit he's doing to his body.
I know.
Like this is not good.
So Kristen arrives and sits down. It's like, I don't want to talk about this the whole time. I got to get a skinny margarita with salt. Because I don't want to talk about Jax. So in the talking head, Kristen says, no one has ever said Jax is a good guy. I've seen him treat his girlfriend like shit. I've seen him cheat on every girl he's ever been around. He has anger issues, but I've never seen him do anything like what he did to Britney. Again, they're not saying what really happened here, I think.
Yeah.
I think something more happened.
Put his hands on her.
That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like he flipped a coffee table and it hit her knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he did.
Something else. So, also, okay, so if you didn't watch Vanderpump, then this maybe didn't hit you like it hit me. Because when Jax was dating Stassi for all those years, he cheated on Stassi with Kristen, who was her best friend.
I think I did hear something about that.
Kristen was in a long-term relationship with Jax's best friend, Tom Sandoval.
Right.
And they banged.
That's when the whole
they banged. They banged when Tom Sandoval was asleep in the other room. Kristen and Jax. And then that's when you see the slap when Stassi slaps Kristen that you see all the time. It's like she just backhands her.
She was okay.
Which,
they nasty.
We were here for it. And Nia goes, okay, let's not talk about Jax. We don't want to give him all our energy. Okay. So then Kristen goes, yeah, here's something weird. A friend of mine ran into Janet at Pilates and she was like, oh, Kristen and I were great. Everything's wonderful. Everything's good. Like, what is she talking about? So Zach reminds us that he said some bad things to Janet. And he says, I take full responsibility for what I said. I take full responsibility for my actions. Just dead stop, nothing else, how you're supposed to.
Yes.
And then we see a clip of Janet on Gibson John's podcast, Gabbing with Kid. Gibson is my friend.
Okay.
I sent him a screenshot. I was like, what the fuck? And he said, the scream that I scrumped. He said,
I bet.
He had no idea that was going to be on there. And he goes,
wow.
He said, the scream that I screamed when I saw it, I was dying. And I said, don't forget the little people
because that's huge right there.
Huge.
I was like, for him.
I was like, Gibson. He was like, can you believe that shit? So,
and to not know that it's going to even be on there. Yeah.
Right. So Janet says, I heard Zach and Kristen both were saying they hoped like my baby didn't come to full term. Like they were hoping I didn't have a healthy child. Like that is a fucked up thing to say. And
but they didn't say that.
Not like that. No,
they not didn't. Like that. It was kind of like, I don't care that she's pregnant. You know what I mean? She didn't care she was pregnant either because she's like, I can't deal with all this stress. Like, bitch, you are a part of this stress. Like you're doing it to your own body. Like it's not just them. You're not caring. Like the amount of not caring that you're talking about that they're doing, you're doing the same exact thing. So come on. And they did not say anything about a miscarriage unless I had totally zoned out, which I don't think that I did. No one said that. He just said, bitch, I don't care that you're pregnant. Like,
yes.
I get it.
Yeah. And Zach and Janet, are between Zach and Janet and Jax. Like, try to say that 3 times. Between Zach and Jax and Janet, between them and Kristen, they're all shit stirrers.
They are all, yes, but Janet is the scary kind because she's behind the scene doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's always the scariest person. And Zach clocked her shit and she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like,
well, the baby is here and he's perfect and adorable, so we can't use that anymore.
And not at all. I would love to hear what the excuse is going to be this year. I just had a baby. I just had a baby. Yeah.
So the talking head, Kristen goes, look, Janet and I weren't great. We see a bunch of clips. And of course, Janet knows about my fertility journey, how I've been trying to get pregnant. And just because I don't like Janet doesn't mean I don't like her child. It doesn't mean I would ever say something like that,
Right.
So back at the table, Zach laughs about how Janet was tracking him to see where he was. And he says, look, here's the thing. Britney is my person. And I don't understand how Britney would let this woman plain McBoring pants come between us. And basically he's like, Britney is a little scared of Janet. And we all are, actually. Let's just tell the truth.
But why?
I don't know. She's pretty mean. And also in this confessional with Zach, what the fuck is he wearing? He's like in a pink eyelet shirt with a matching jacket. I'm like, what is this outfit?
I don't know if he has decided what his style is going to be. Is it going to be boy band? Because sometimes it's given a little bit of boy band.
That's a good point.
Vibes.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows. He doesn't.
The pink eyelet's given a little like Harry Styles, like a little gender bending. I don't know. So now we're at Jesse's house and Kristen arrives and she says, pigs are flying. Hell is frozen over. Jesse invited me to his house.
Yes.
So Jesse asked, okay, how is Luke doing? And she's like, everything is fine. We see clips of all their fighting between Jesse and Kristen and all this.
Right.
And Jesse tells Kristen, look, you were right about almost everything. Meaning like Michelle and all this. And he goes, and subconsciously I knew it. And that led to anger and hatred, on other people. And you didn't deserve for me to project like what I was mad about in my marriage onto you. And I take full accountability and I apologize. The end.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That's how it's done. Yep.
And Jesse talks about Isabel's upcoming birthday party. And he goes, I did invite Michelle and her new boyfriend, Aaron, because like it's the birthday party. Like, of course, I want her to be there. And we, put it aside for the kid. And the talking head, he says, like, Kristen did allege that Michelle had a boyfriend behind my back for a year. And if I find out that this guy, Aaron, was that boyfriend, then it's not going to go over well. Now, by the way, I think Kristen and everybody, whoever was the boyfriend for a year, obviously they know who it is.
Of course they do.
Yeah. And was it Aaron? I don't know.
It's going to be him. It's going to be him.
Good for you, Michelle. Go for it. So Kristen says the apology really meant a lot, from Jesse. And he goes, it's an evolution. I'm growing. I'm growing.
Mhm.
And talking head, Kristen goes, you know what? People should actually take a page out of Jesse's book. Like, he apologized, he owns it, and we moved
Yeah.
on. Right.
Well, does Kristen always look like she just stopped being drunk?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is just, I'm like, she constantly looks like she just got over, like, not like a
Yes.
full blown hangover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just how she looks. Okay.
When the scandal happened,
Mm-hmm.
all the shit went down with Tom and Ariana.
Mm-hmm.
There was this last episode, and Kristen is coming over. Kristen, who used to date Tom Sandoval, Ariana, who
Mm-hmm.
dated Tom Sandoval. So Kristen's
Okay.
coming over to like console Ariana as a friend. And the scene of her walking up, she is in leggings, like for
Okay.
exercise, socks,
Okay.
and then like shower slides, like Nike shower slides,
Okay.
and then like a t-shirt. And she's like, whoa, 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 hey, I'm here. I'm gonna light some sage. She always looks like shit. She is always like, just looks like she's been dragged through the mud. So I think you saying
Yeah.
her looking like she just woke up or is recovering from a 4-day hangover is what she
Yeah.
always looks like. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm like, how does this girl always look like that? I mean, during the confessionals, when you've had a professional
Yes.
hairstylist and a professional makeup artist work on you,
Yeah.
of course you're gonna look better. But god damn, you are on television.
She does not care. Kristen does
She
not
gives
give
zero
a shit.
fucks.
She gives zero
Jeez.
shits. Yes.
Okay, clearly. Okay.
That's
All
how
right.
she has always been. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
So so Jesse says, you know, it was I was not comfortable for me to see, you know, Michelle with Aaron or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's not going to be like Team Jesse or Team Michelle. Like, I don't want that. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Now, Nia and Danny, parents of 3, go to brunch,
Mhm.
and they're like, we have 3 kids, we have no daycare, no breaks. And he says,
No.
but, you know, I'm too blessed to be stressed, you know, and then now I'm noticing when Danny is talking, he definitely got Botox this last season, because last season his forehead, if you notice, was like very Cro-Magnon, like down. I can't even do it because I just
Okay.
got Botox, but it's way down and like a line across here, like heavy. And
Okay.
now it's very lifted. So he
Wow.
definitely
Botox
saw
is just fascinating to me.
yeah. I mean, but you just watched season 1 and you could remember what his head looked like.
I didn't really take notice all that much. I just remember him talking about like all the good moisturizer and face skincare that he's been doing for like ever. And now we know it's just Botox.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I didn't even know men really got Botox. Like
yeah.
Botox is so foreign to me.
I will look at
Like,
you're so lucky.
well, how do you know how much you need? How do you know like where you need it?
Well, the
Like,
doctor tells you. The doctor tells you. You don't like decide yourself. You go in and
well,
you
I mean,
go, "Hey, I want to do this." And they go, "Okay, we're going to do all this up here, all through
okay.
here. We're going to do this, and we'll do a little bit of this. We'll lift this or whatever."
How do they charge you? Do they charge you by how much you
Yes.
need?
Mhm.
Well, what if they're trying to fool you and overcharge you and you don't even need that much because they just want the money?
Okay, well, then you just have to be at a doctor that you trust. That's not I just go in, I just pay whatever they tell me. So I am the target sucker. I am the target sucker. Like, they'll go like, "Okay, it's $1,000 or $200." I'm like, "Okay,
And how
just
long does it last?
6 months." Unless you exercise a lot or you have super fast metabolism, then it lasts a shorter amount of time because your body will metabolize it really quickly. But luckily for me, I don't exercise at all, so I can really stretch it out.
Me too. We're
Yeah.
just blessed with these fabulous bodies.
I
Of
don't have to
ours. Don't be
exercise. It's just
jelly.
yeah, that's
Don't be
right.
jelly. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Nia and
All right.
Danny at brunch. He's gotten Botox. He's lifted his head up. Good for him.
Okay.
And they joke about having another baby, and she was like, "No, I really want to have another one. Like, I've already like ruined my body, so I may as well
Okay.
just get it." I mean, her theory's not bad,
But she also has 3 kids already.
right? But they want 4. They want 4.
So they had, because he doesn't look like he's that sure about number 4.
I think yeah. I mean, I think they're very like they met at church. They're very religious. I think they want to have a bunch of kids. I think yes. Yeah.
Okay, good for them.
And he goes, look, here's the thing about having another baby. Like, my son needs his own room. Like, we
He
need
does.
need a yard. We need space. And then he jokes, have you heard of Santa Clarita? Because that's where he wants to live. By the way,
Right.
that's where Amy Phillips lives. I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
And she's like, I don't want to wait 5 years to have another baby. My body's already ruined. I want to have one, be done, and then get my body back to myself. And he's
Right.
like, okay. And she goes, I'm ovulating in 14 days. He's like, oh my God.
They need a house. They
They need a
most
house
definitely need a house.
and a nanny or a relative to come and move in to help them.
They need a lot of things before they get pregnant again.
Yeah, her mom was around a lot last year. I don't know where she was staying.
Okay.
All right.
Not there.
Not there.
Well, she was sleeping on the couch.
So Nia and Danny go over to Janet and Jason's house. And I forgot that Janet was married before because she has some china out and they make a joke about the china. And she goes, oh, no. This is from the first marriage. I kept it. I kind of
That's so
forgot.
funny.
I kind of forgot about that. But they're pre-gaming before Brittany's white party.
Mm-hmm.
So Danny and Jason talk about the boys chat, like their group chat.
Right.
And how Jax is like getting mad at them in the group chat because they're going to Brittany's party. And they ask the girls, have you looked in the boys group chat? And they're both like, yeah, I dipped in there one time. Like, it's disgusting. So I got out. I don't want to be in the boys chat.
Okay.
So the talking head Jason says, I can understand why Jax would be upset by what Julian did. They were, close friends for like a year. I was like, they were close friends for a year. What are they, like cokehead buddies? What do you mean?
Okay. So this Julian person was not from Vanderpump Rules.
No, I've never seen him before.
You've never seen him. Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right.
And he says they were close friends for about a year, but I cannot condone acting aggressively towards Brittany after finding out. You're a man. You're a father. You have to be able to regulate your emotions. Again,
Here we
they're
go.
not saying what really happened.
Yep. But we are most definitely reading in between those lines.
Yeah. So they joke that the Jax party tonight will just be him and Schwartz. So we go over to Jax's bar, to where I've been. I've been to Jax's bar.
Okay.
And he greets Bert, Tom's brother. Now, Tom Schwartz arrives. Bert is his brother. Bert had severe liver issues due to his alcoholism and had a liver transplant.
Oh,
so I think Bert is now living in LA with Schwartz.
Okay.
Okay. Bert is a triplet. Billy, Bert, and Brandon are Tom Schwartz's triplet brothers.
Are they identical triplets or?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's fascinating. I've never met triplets before.
Isn't that crazy? So there's a sister, then there's Tom Schwartz, and then there's Billy, Bert, and Brandon, the three brothers. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That's a lot
crazy.
To find out your last, like, let's say you're like, okay, this is my last pregnancy. We've got 2 kids. Let's have one more. And then you get 3.
Yeah.
Which 2 are staying at the hospital because I'm only bringing home 1.
Which one's the cutest?
Which one's the cutest? Because that's a lot of kids.
Yeah. So, and they also, between Billy, Bert, Brandon, Tom Schwartz, and the sister, they also have 3 half siblings. So I don't know if the dad remarried and then had 3 more kids.
That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of children.
That's a lot of children. No wonder he left.
Their dad left.
No, I'm saying Schwartz. No wonder he left Minnesota or wherever he's from. So Schwartz says his dad, this past year, his dad almost died of a blood clot. And then the other brother, Brandon, had cancer. And then, of course, we know Bert was a severe alcoholic and had to have a liver transplant. So, I mean, Tom Schwartz has been through a lot. And he and his wife, and he and Katie got divorced. So we see a couple of other guys at Jax's bar, but it's not a party. So,
because everyone's at Brittany's party.
That's right. So in the car, Janet says, I've really missed Kristen because they have been really good friends for a long time. And she says, and it's been a while since I saw Kristen and Zach. And, I don't think, we could be besties right away or anything, but hopefully we can just get along and lower the tension in the group.
Well, Janet did them dirty last season.
Always. Janet,
and she's not admitting to it at all.
She's just like, it's been a long time since I've seen them. She acts like she had no hand in anything,
Does Jason not realize that his wife is kind of a piece of shit?
He realized she's a shit stir. He said she quit her job and became a full-time gossip. Yeah.
We should get t-shirts that say that. Full-time gossiper. Yes, I like that.
Occupation, full-time
gossiper.
Industry, gossip.
I like that.
So they all arrive at the white party. It's at a place called Level 8. It looks like kind of like a rooftop pool party situation. Aaron and Michelle are there. Jesse arrives. And in the talking head, she goes, things aren't good with Jesse. He gives me the ick. your
Oh,
husband. Wow.
damn.
Wow.
Poor Jesse. He gives me the icks.
Tom and Jax, Schwartz and Jax are talking at Jax's bar, and they're like, how's it going with
Mhm.
Schwartz and Sandy's over there? And he goes, everything is great. Well, it's currently closed. Spoiler alert. Also went to
Oh,
that bar.
okay.
Tom says, okay, so how are you? And Jack's like, oh man, like things are fine. And he says, Brittany talked to me the other night and we had a real heart to heart. And she doesn't feel comfortable to even be in the room with you, Jax. And Jax goes, yeah, like I have anger and I didn't know how to let it out. And Tom goes, because they've known they used to be roommates, like they've known each
Right.
other for years. And Tom goes, I got to tell you, man, like I didn't even know you were capable of that kind of behavior. Again,
Wow.
I'm sure Tom Schwartz knows that Jax is capable of kicking over a coffee table. So again,
Yeah.
what are we not saying?
It's we're just assuming here, but that it was more of a domestic violence situation
Situation,
going on.
yes. Like I don't know if the cops
Yes.
are called. I don't know what, but
And
obviously,
I don't know why Brittany did not beat his ass. I don't know why she didn't kick him in the nose.
because
I'm
she's
promoting domestic violence, but not
right.
trying to. But I'm just like, if a guy puts their hands on me, like we gonna be fighting. Like I may lose the fight, but I'm not about to let you just beat on me like that. That is crazy.
Yeah, and
And she's
again,
letting everybody know.
everybody know what happened without saying it.
Yeah,
Right.
without saying it. Yeah.
So, Jax goes, "Look, man, another guy infiltrated my marriage. Imagine seeing pictures of your wife naked, sending them to another guy, and he was my friend." And Tom
What the
goes,
fuck is in your phone, Jackson? Jax? I would love to know what's in your
Jesus,
photos. I would probably
Jesus.
vomit at some of the things that are in there.
And she goes, and he was my friend. And Tom goes, yeah, I get it. Your feelings are valid, but the way you
Yes.
reacted is not
Not
valid.
cool. Yeah.
And Jess goes, yeah, but she flies off the handle all the time. And she's so hypocritical and she's just so hot and cold. And she was at my house the other night all alone and we almost hooked up. Like she wants her cake and eat it too. Tom is just looking at him like, I have known you long enough to know that not one word that comes out of your mouth is true. Tom is just looking at him like, are you done? Like
He really is.
we know that after whatever happened that you're not saying, she did not come to your house and try to hook up with you. Shut up. I mean,
No. No.
So Tom goes, man, you are headed towards rock bottom with your recent behavior. And I feel like if you don't seek some sort of counseling or some sort of therapy, and Jax goes, yeah, yeah, I have a little boy. Like I have a kid who's supposed to look up to me like a hero. And I'm going off the fucking rails, man. Like I'm in such a bad place. Like it's so hard to go home to an empty house and I walk past my child's room. And Tom goes, yeah, no excuse, man. No excuse.
Well, if your ass had gotten a 1-bedroom apartment, you wouldn't have to worry about walking past your child's bedroom and it's empty.
I
Like,
I really liked how over and over Jax does what he's been doing since we've known him, which
mhm.
is, yeah, I was wrong, but I gotta go to this empty house. It's so sad. And oh yeah, if I'm so bad, why was she trying to fuck me? But I was wrong. And also, if I was so wrong, then why'd she marry me? He just cannot say I was wrong and leave it at that.
He
Every
sounds like
time,
a 12 or 13-year-old boy.
yes, every
He
time
really
he
does.
every time he talks, I appreciate that Tom Schwartz is there to go, yeah, but you did this. And then he's go, boo, boo,
Mhm.
boo. And he goes, there's no excuse. There's no
Yeah.
excuse, man. And Jess goes, yeah, yeah. And then he like cries and goes, I'm 44 years old, man. What's wrong with me? And he cried,
A lot.
quit making excuses for your behavior.
Well, let's work on the drug problem. Let's start.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Let's get
Let's start with
sober.
the
Let's start
drugs.
there.
Let's get
Yeah.
sober. Yeah, yeah. That's because nothing else is going to work if you keep going back to coke.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So now we go back to the white party because nothing's happening at Jax's party.
Mhm.
And Jesse says, okay, so Aaron, he doesn't like me that much.
Mhm.
And then we see Michelle and Jesse go back and forth about spoiling Isabella. Well, if you didn't do this, well, if you didn't do that, well, if you didn't do this, if you didn't do that. Kristen says, I haven't talked, she's talking to Jasmine. She goes, no, I haven't talked to Janet at all. And then Janet
Yeah. No.
appears.
Yeah. Someone say my name?
Jump scare. What?
Right.
So they sit to talk, and Janet is talking to Kristen and says, look, I don't want to let last summer, we've had so many fun years before that. We don't need to let last summer ruin us, which is sort of a trope of Vanderpump Rules. They always talk about last summer, because they film in the summer. So it's sort of like, I guess it's like Summer House, because I don't watch Summer House, but I think it's the same idea of like, well, last summer you did this. I know what you did last summer.
Got you.
So Janet's like, I don't want to let what happened last summer ruin it because we've had so many fun years together. And I want to find a way to sort of get back to that having fun. And Kristen goes, look, I'm a little reluctant, okay? Because after the summer, you went at me hard, real hard. Like you said on Gibson's podcast, you said, I didn't want your baby to be full term. Like I never said that. And Janet goes, yeah, I should apologize for that. Yeah.
Well, you can't. Like, you put it on a podcast. And I've never heard of this podcast, but I'm assuming it's pretty popular if they mention it on the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's a big fucking deal.
Gibson's just very known in the Bravo world as like a writer and kind of because he's very like normal and fair and a great guy. And fun fact about Gibson Johns, he's from DC and his parents founded Scout Bags. If you know, like this what that is. Scout, if I sent you a picture of one, you would know exactly what it is. There's these like, like storage bags.
Hold on. Was he recently on
this podcast? Yes, he's been on my podcast a lot.
No, not yours, Mary Payne. It's not always about you.
Okay. Sorry.
Was he on Kate and Tyler from Teen Mom? Was he on the I don't know. That's him. Because I think I remember hearing the word Gib.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he ever talks about Teen Mom, but maybe he does. I thought he mostly did Bravo, but
I'm gonna have to go back and look. I can be completely wrong. It just sounded kind of familiar.
Yeah, Gibson Johns. He's my Nantucket friend. He's my friend that's gonna like help me one day achieve my dream of going to Nantucket because he goes there every summer. Yeah, he lives in New York. Well, he's a great guy.
You achieved that dream.
I'm trying. So, okay, baby, blah, blah, blah. And Janet goes,
there's no coming back from that. Sorry.
From saying, I don't want your baby to live.
No,
that's terrible.
There's no coming back from that. Nope.
So Janet goes, yeah, like I should apologize for that. And she goes, look, Britney told me that Zach said to Britney, I don't care if she miscarries. And that was fucked up.
But he didn't say that.
To our knowledge, he did not say, I don't care if she miscarries. I think what he said was, I don't give a fuck if she's pregnant.
I don't know if she's pregnant. Yeah.
So Kristen goes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's fucked up, but I didn't say that. And and she goes, and if he said that, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to drop him as my best friend. And Jana goes, okay, I'm sorry. I roped you in with Zach's demonic behavior. And she says, it's hard to separate the two things, like what Zach did or whatever. And Kristen goes, well, can you apologize to me? And Jan goes, I don't know. It's hard because the two of you were together. And Kristen goes, so you don't have anything to apologize for. Now, I'm kind of getting the feeling that maybe we're wrong and maybe Zach did say that.
We did. Well, we can only go by what we heard.
Yeah.
Right. And we did not hear him say that at all. We just heard him say, I don't give a shit about her being pregnant.
Yeah. So,
but we know Kristen most definitely
did not say that.
Yeah.
Did not say that. So we get some clips about Janet saying, Kristen said Michelle's a racist. And Jasmine's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And also Luke, we get this clip of Luke telling Kristen, just say you're sorry. Don't say I am sorry, but just say I am sorry. I am sorry is a sentence. And Kristen's like, but so these two part ways, Janet and Kristen, and Janet goes, okay, we're not going to, in the words of Sean Robinson, we're not going to solve this today. And I wish you well. No. And they're both tearing up. So no, it didn't go well.
If they're both tearing up, that means that there's still a possibility that they could get back together. Mm-hmm.
And we see somebody telling Zach, oh, did you know you're the demonic best friend? And he's like, what? Because Janet called him demonic.
Look, I mean, if he really did say that,
that's pretty demonic.
That's pretty bad. Yeah. And I like him. So I really hope he didn't say that.
Back to the group, standing by the pool. Zach says we should all have a spa day. And Michelle then talks to, which means that we'll probably see that next week. Michelle talks to Jesse about we got to get our daughter into like the best schools or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, okay, well, why don't we look everywhere? Why don't we even look like at Orange County? And she goes, so you want him to go to school you want Isabella to go to school in Orange County because you've been dating a girl from the OC for a few months?
So
And he
how
goes,
far away is Orange County from where they live?
45 minutes to an hour.
Some people drive their kids that far for a good school.
I don't think the LA traffic is so bad. It is
I'm
so
not thinking
bad.
about LA traffic. Okay.
LA traffic is so bad that 45 minutes without traffic is a 2.5-hour morning commute to take a kid to school. So no, you'd have to
That's
move
horrible.
to Orange County.
Okay.
So she's like, okay, so you want him to go to school in Orange County just because you've been dating a girl there for a few months. Okay, no.
Not a
And
good one.
in the talking head, she goes, he's just trying to get revenge on me and he's gonna like use this school thing as the way. So they go back and forth fighting about like custody, and he's like, you won't get it. You won't get full custody. And she was like, if you want to move to Newport, which is where
Mhm.
Kate Casey lives, if you want to move to Newport, we're going to have to go to court. And he just laughs in her face because he's very condescending to her. And the talking
I
head,
mean,
she
here's
goes,
the thing. We have to remember that this woman did cheat on this man. Okay.
okay.
So he has a right to be a little bit petty, because I would be petty than a motherfucker. I would be petty for how long did you cheat on me? A whole year? Okay, times 2.
But
That is how long I'm going to be petty.
But do you remember from last season? She
Mhm.
told him, I do not want to be married to you. I want to separate. And he refused. So she said, like, I do not want to be married. She told him she wanted to separate. And he like begged her to stay, that he would
Mhm.
change. And he did not change.
Okay, and I get that. But she still cheated on him. I think
know.
if the tables were reversed, we would totally hate him. He would be the biggest piece of shit because he cheated on her.
That's true. But I think that she was like, I'm telling you what it is. I don't think we should be together. I would like to get divorced unless I can see some real change. And he said, I'm going to change. And he did
Mhm.
nothing to change. And she said, all they ever talked about was like DocuSign documents and, business stuff. And she was like, did you look
I
at the
think
DocuSign?
she'd already had checked out and probably was
Yeah.
entertaining other men, whether she had slept with them or not. And that's still wrong.
It's still wrong.
I'm not on the hate Jesse train.
I find him entertaining. He's very
I
good
think
for
he's
TV.
funny.
And
I
I
think
think
he's funny.
he's funny when he's been on Watch What Happens Live and stuff. He's funny.
Oh, has he? Okay.
Yeah. And so she says, he told me when we separated and that I left the house, he told me he would do anything he could to ruin my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty shitty. So in the talking head, he goes, look, yeah, I love the OC. I do.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter would have a better education in the OC, and Michelle's never going to let it happen. So the producer says, did you bring that up about the OC just to get a rise out of Michelle? And he goes, yeah, I did. And he says, let the chaos begin. So then we see her telling him, Michelle is telling the group, it's so easy to fight with him. Like, I tried. And then he's like, well, so what if we move to, she goes, this is so sorry. Rewind. She says, it's so easy to fight with him. I tried to talk to him. And then he's like, what if we moved to Newport Beach so Isabella could go to school in Orange County? And he's just doing it to push my buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And Nia goes, 5 days a week away from her mother? No, that's not going to happen. And Michelle goes, I get mad at myself for giving him the reaction that he wants. Like, I should just, And Nia says, he's just trying to get in your head. And then we hear Jesse on mic going, she's so fucking resentful, So Brittany stands in front of the group and goes, thanks everybody for coming to my white party. Thanks y'all. Woo, everybody cheers. Free Brittany, free Brittany. And then in the talking head, we hear Kristen say, last summer was bad, but I never thought this summer would be worse.
Oh, shit.
And we see Michelle saying, I just want to be fucking divorced and never talk to him again. Nia says, while holding a baby, I just don't want you to be assuming things about my friends. And then, and then Danny says, oh, your friends? who were just talking crap behind your back while also holding another baby.
A baby. Because they've got so many babies to hold. Like they have a baby for each scene that they're in. We have a baby. Here's a new baby. You haven't met this one, but here's a new one right here.
And then we see somebody, but I can't tell who, is yelling in Britney's face and saying, he sexually assaulted people. Let's be real.
Oh
now, I don't know.
What could they be talking about?
I don't know. If somebody knows, send me a DM. And Kristen saying to Jax, you're fucking up right now, Jax. And him going, ooh. And then Britney.
I hate when you do the cry face. It's so funny.
You hate it or you love it?
Like, I hate it because it's so pathetically funny. It's just like,
and then we see Britney yelling at Jax, you scared me and you hurt me. You are dangerous and you need help. Again, she's not talking about a coffee table to the knee.
A coffee table. No. Definitely.
And it seems his friends are in his kitchen telling him, I don't want to lose you, man. I don't want to wake up to a headline. So they're obviously having some sort of intervention with him, because then we see him walking down the stairs with the suitcase. Okay. This season on the Valley, Luke and Kristen get engaged. We already know this. Britney sees evidence of Jax hooking up with some girl at their home. And she's like, I went in the bathroom and there's like a thong underwear and like a baby wipe. And they're all like,
gross.
All the girls are like screaming. Then we see a group. Let's do shots for Britney. Woo. She drinks too much. Let's drink some more. Kristen gives Luke $20 to snort wasabi. And he does. We see Lala reading Jesse for filth. Okay. Because we do know, Keisha, that when Jax has to leave to go to rehab or wherever he goes, that Lala and Sheena film more because they are friends with this group, but they're not on the show. But I think they had to they wanted to bring in like some heavy hitters to take the place of Jax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jax gets served at his door I guess a separation, filing a restraining order, full custody, blah, 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 blah. Which then, by the way, what did happen in court was that he completely signed away his parental rights and all of that. So it's in the court system. So people are able to immediately get the documents because it's public. And then it was like his lawyer was like, oh no, that was an error. He just didn't read the document and signed it.
Wow.
But I don't think that's correct. I think he has no custody without a guardian there. I don't think he can do it alone. Yeah.
Right.
Jesse says Michelle is sleeping with the billionaire for $1,500 a night. And then we see her throw a drink on him.
Okay.
Jesse just needs to stop. He just needs to be happy in his relationship and quit trying to bash Michelle. Just like let it go.
He can't do it.
Kristen alleges that Jason takes his ring off when he goes out. And we don't believe it because I think Jason is a sweet baby angel. Nia and Janet have some sort of screaming fight. Jasmine yells at someone. Britney says Jax has people watching her. He put like cameras in her place. Luke says, I just want you to be there for me, Kristen. And then walks down the hall in his underwear at some resort or something.
Okay.
And Janet says, there's a reason it's called Crazy Kristen and not Crazy Janet.
Oh,
good point.
Right.
Good point.
Okay.
And then we see Zach storm down some stairs of a yacht saying, I'm done. And then we see someone, I guess Kristen is saying, I don't know if she's saying it to Zach. I don't know who she's saying it to, but she's saying, don't make me knock your ass out. You're a fan, bitch.
Oh,
so I don't know what that's about. But it was a lot of quick clips. Now, Keisha.
Yes.
You've done it. You've done the Valley. Are you excited? Are you energized by what's coming?
It's a really good show.
It's a really good show.
It really, really is. It was quick to find out what's going on with the group and everything like that. And there's a lot of scandalous activities. I love a messy group. They're
messy. They're very, very messy. And I always thought, what they should do with Vanderpump Rules is they should do like Menudo and just rotate the cast, every couple of seasons, because once those people are working at Sir and wherever, at Tom Tom and all the restaurants, then people do know them and they become reality stars. So then, Vanderpump Rules did keep on like 4 seasons too long pretending those people worked at that restaurant when they
And they
would
really didn't.
they really didn't. But by the way, Jax
Okay.
does still take a shift every now and then. And they do it for like I'm sure they're paid like, hey, come in and bartend to get
Yes.
people into the restaurant,
Of course. Yes. Smart.
But I always said they should follow the original Vanderpump cast as they're getting older and they're famous as reality stars and they're getting married and they're having kids, they're getting divorced. That's the show we want to see because we love the original cast so much. But
Right.
Tom Sandoval, Tom Schwartz, Kristen, Katie, Stassi, that's the original cast. Lala came in, James Kennedy came in, Sheena was on the original cast. Sheena was the reason for the whole original show. So, I always said we should have a show that followed them, but I do love that we're not following all of them. Like Sheena is not always on the show. Lala's not always on the show. We only have the Jax and Britney and the Kristen as the staple from Vanderpump Rules. I don't know. I just love it. I just love it. I just love it. I love it.
Well,
I love it. I love it.
What you just described is what this show is, but just not with the Vanderpump Rules.
With the whole cast. Yeah.
Foundation cast. Yeah.
Because Stassi, when she left, when she was asked to leave. I
love that name.
When she left, she was told, she was asked to be on lots of reality shows and she's never been on one since.
Really?
She's just kept her life going as an influencer and she's written several books and she tours because she's very funny. And right now she's on Vanderpump Villa, which I think is on Peacock or Hulu or something. She's on Vanderpump Villa in Italy as like a cast member. I think she's like running the villa. Like a Lisa Vanderpump Jr. I haven't watched it, so I don't know. And maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows if I have time. But she's been offered so many shows. And of course she was offered to be on the Valley. And she's like, no, it just doesn't feel genuine to what my life is now. Like I'm married with 2 little kids and, I don't want to ruin my marriage. I'd like to keep it going,
That's a good reason not to do it.
Yeah. She's still killing it. And she has just flat out apologized for her behavior, like flat out apologized.
Good. We love a good apology.
Yeah, not Faith slept with my friend's, boyfriend, and that's why I did. And then it's just like flat out that was wrong. I was uneducated about what calling the police on a Black woman would do. I did not. I was uneducated on that.
Oh,
but
they
now
call
I know.
The police on?
On Faith, yeah.
They were real hard.
Okay. Yeah, and they were like, she was like, I was uneducated on that. The racist aspect of it and what it could do to a Black woman in America, having the police called on saying she's a scammer. And she's like, so I educated myself and now I know that was completely wrong and that would hit different for a Black person than a white person. And I didn't know. And, yeah.
Good for her.
Listen, I'm a Stassi apologist. She said she was sorry. I take it at her word.
Hopefully she doesn't ever do it again.
Willis, please, Lord, please.
That would be bad.
And Kristen has always been crazy, Kristen. She's been crazy, Kristen, since season 1 of Vanderpump Rules. But I still wish her well with her marriage and her baby because she's pregnant too.
Yeah. Oh, she's big pregnant.
Yeah. Big pregnant.
Is it twins in there? I'm like, that stomach is huge.
And she doesn't give a shit. She's just walking around in those flip-flops. She don't give a shit.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. Everybody, if you're not familiar with Keisha, if you don't know her from being on my show talking about Love After Lockup or Love is Blind or what else did we cover?
Prison Brides.
All the prison shows.
All the prison shows we do. Yeah, because what was the other prison show? Inmates Roommate. And then we did that one love show, Match Me Abroad.
Match Me Abroad. So if you guys aren't familiar with Keisha from all these other shows, this is our first dip into our Bravo show together. And she has a great podcast. It's very funny. It's called The Libra Lounge with Keisha.
Yes.
And that's where you can find her. You can find her on that show and you can find her Instagram with the same name. And Keisha's very, very funny. So
I think so. I've been told that at times too.
10 out of 10. Highly recommend. And you guys will be back every Wednesday on Pink Shade Prime, $10 level, talking about the Valley. So if you're loving our recaps, subscribe. Also, a thing you could do for somebody that's really, really nice is you could go to Apple or Spotify reviews and just click 5 stars. It's a nice thing. This is a nice thing you can do to get our podcast.
It helps us a lot.
Other people's ears.
Yes.
That's it. That's my promo. Everybody follow Keisha, the Libra Lounge of Keisha, and follow me at Pink Shade Pod. And we will be right back here next week to talk about the Valley. Okay, bye.
Bye.